Hello, welcome to Movie Community College. I'm the Warrior Queen, Tish.
I am Gore Ashoka, the White King.
No,
Oh,
what you are is testy and crabby.
And you were being nasty.
You have been testy
Before
and
the camera
crabby
came
today.
on, you were talking nasty.
I was not talking nasty.
You were saying very bad things.
No, I was just telling you how it's going to be.
No, you're not. That's not what we're having for dinner.
Yes.
Absolutely not. So we are here to discuss a movie.
Yes, this is true.
I'm afraid of doing reactions and doing movie
you?
reviews. I have a phobia of them.
I don't think so. If that was the case, this channel wouldn't exist.
We saw Phobia.
We did. We watched it last night.
Now, I know our friends are going to disagree with me, but I'm going to put this in our Bollywood Top 100.
And we have to point out again, because there are people who are new to our channel who are not familiar with our version of the Bollywood Top 100.
King Ashoka,
This
right
is
here.
just a list of films that we like. They're not in any particular order. There's just 100 of them. So when the list is finalized and you see number 1 through number 100, we're not saying that number 1 is necessarily better than, I don't know, number 68. No, we're not. And we talked about this earlier, remember? Because you're going to be putting a classic in the list that would be in everybody's top 5.
Yes. Don't say what it is.
I'm not. For us, it's going to be like number 70 something. That doesn't mean we think there are 30 better films. We're just compiling a list of 100 that we really like.
Now, this film stars Radhika
Apte.
who is... She was my favorite actress until I stumbled on to Vidya. Mm-hmm. Radhika is very talented. Radhika loses me sometimes in her politics, though. She gets a little too liberal for my taste.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But she can act. I'm not taking away from her acting ability.
I haven't seen her in many things, but in this, really good. She did a phenomenal job.
I think when it comes to movie reviews, you're better at giving the layout of the film than I am. I'm better at
You're better at what?
being a fool. So I'm gonna yield the floor to you, so you can tell our friends what has happened.
So, obviously, many of our friends have seen this film already, so they already know. But it basically starts off with Radhika and several of her friends kind of gathered around at an art gallery. She has a piece that is being displayed at the art gallery. And she's telling a story, and everybody's kind of, listening. And
it's just a little joke.
And it's just a little joke, basically. And she has this friend there with her, Sean. Sean is a jerk.
He is what the kids would call a douchebag. How does that... You know what that is in Hindi?
Hold on.
Sean.
I think it's Chutia. I think. I may be pronouncing
Molly.
I may be pronouncing that wrong.
That's crazy. What did you just say? Douchebag in Hindi?
I'm just saying. I've seen it written out. I can spell it for you, but I hope I'm pronouncing it the right way. So anyhow, Sean is selfish. He's immature. He really is only out for one thing, and so he's, basically being her friend.
He reminded me of somebody we know.
Yes, indeed.
No, not who you're thinking of.
Somebody else I'm thinking of?
One of your brother friends.
Interesting.
Rick Aja.
Oh.
That's
I guess I could see that too.
Jerk.
So in any case, she's telling this story, and then she gets around to kind of the joke part, and Sean
is the butt of the joke.
And he's offended.
Yes.
So he walks away. So she turns around, and she sees this car just kind of parked on the side of the road.
When you watch the trailer, this thing is loaded with Mr. X.
Yes,
loaded.
Absolutely.
And it was loaded to Mr. X very much like Kabali. No, not Kabali. I can't believe I said it. Kahani.
Oh, yeah.
Kabali was loaded with terrible stuff, not Mr. X. We could use some Mr. X in Kabali.
Yeah. She was also in that, wasn't she?
She was his wife, or whatever. Anyways, I digress.
Yeah,
but
please don't go down that road.
Kahani.
Yes,
and
right.
To me, the genius of the film is the Mr. X, because what we don't realize that you then figure out at the end of the film is she's having a night of premonitions.
Right, and so it starts at the art gallery. She sees something weird, and and she doesn't feel right about it. Something feels off to her. And we don't find out till the end of the film that that was the beginning of the premonitions that she's going to have for the rest of the film.
Yes.
So basically the only thing about the trailer that was not a misdirect is that she's agoraphobic.
That she's in it. That she's in the movie.
And she becomes agoraphobic because, on this night after the art gallery, her and Sean are going back to their respective homes. He tries to get her to come up just for a drink and some music, but it's clear he's looking for sex. And she's like, listen, just because it happened one time doesn't mean that's going to happen every time I'm drunk. So, of course, he again is offended, and so he goes home and... but she is sufficiently boozed up, and so she's in the back of this taxi falling asleep. And the driver is noticing that she's asleep, and he wants to take advantage of this situation. So he goes to a place that's out of the way, where it's secluded, and he tries to rape her.
But she fends him off.
Right. She fends him off, but we don't see how immediately.
Yes,
we don't find out till
later.
The end of the film how she fends him off.
Little mace in the eyes, yo.
Right. We do know that he was not able to rape her. She did, fend him off.
And he's arrested.
But yes, and he's in prison. And so some time has clearly elapsed between the attack and when he's gone to prison.
What struck me about this movie, man, Indians know cinematography.
This was very well filmed.
Even when they took her to the abandoned building, and you have this taxi cab with the lights in the taxi cab, like the Christmas lights.
Yes.
It was just a beautiful shot. It looked very...
It was well framed.
It was beautiful.
What was going on?
Even the abandoned buildings looked beautiful.
I disagreed, because what I saw was this feeling of just creepy fear, but it was filmed very well.
Yes, it was outstanding.
And of course, because I'm a woman, that's how I would feel.
Cinematography. They know.
So this film had elements of Panic Room in it. It had elements of Rear Window in it. Did it not? Did it not?
Yes.
The one scene where she opens the door and she's got her feet like clamped on the threshold.
Literally, her toes.
Yes, and she barely takes the one step out, and then you see the camera pan and the whole hallway. That was very Hitchcock. It felt very Hitchcock to me.
It felt like Rear Window.
Yes. So in any case, she's agoraphobic. Some time has passed from the attack until she goes to this apartment that Sean's friend owns. Right. Okay. And so somebody had been there, and he's telling her this story that the other woman, Gia, I think was her name. Kind of just
took off.
She just, she didn't pay her rent, and she, fled town. Well, it sounds like there are a whole lot of stories going around about this woman. She didn't neglect to pay the rent. Her boyfriend didn't murder her.
What we don't know though is this apartment has a unique cast of characters living on the floor.
Yes.
The one neighbor, Manu, was dating Gia.
Yes.
And was very weird.
Guy. Yes.
Very weird dude.
Right. And he's going through laughter therapy to get rid of his...
Yes. He has this bad habit of beating women.
Yes, he was beating Gia.
And then there's Nikki, the 13-year-old.
She was adorable. I loved her.
Quirky.
Yes, I loved her.
And then there was the old woman that would kind of show up who was looking for her husband, but she's crazy.
Yes.
So you had this weird cast of characters. And what starts to come out is she finds a diary of Gia.
Yes, and she starts reading it
and realizes Manu is beating her, and they're having a thing, and she's afraid he's going to kill her.
And Gia's gone, and now she's having these weird visions, and so she thinks he murdered her. And so, he drills through the wall the one day, almost gets her in the eye.
Yes.
And instead of like hanging something over that hole or patching it up, she just puts like electrical tape over it. She clearly... She has portrayed somebody with issues very well.
Yes,
I mean, she did a phenomenal job. And so she's kind of...
She's agoraphobic.
Right.
So
she's watching things out the window. She's watching through the peephole. She often forgets to lock the front door.
Yes.
And so...
the door's open a lot.
Yes, the door's open a lot, and that freaks her out. But she does become friends with Nikki. She realizes that she can have this connection with this young girl. And so not feel so secluded. She misses her family, but she can't get past this agoraphobia. They've tried doing virtual reality therapy with her. Genius idea, by the way. I've never, ever, ever seen that depicted as a therapy for agoraphobia. I love that idea. I don't know if that's like a real thing where people use that as therapy for agoraphobia, but if it's not, it should be. That was brilliant.
But she starts having these visions.
Right.
And the visions that she's seeing is this girl being murdered.
Right, but you never see her face.
Yes, no. And so
right?
And so she's convinced that it's Manu who murdered her, and she's getting to see this murder.
Because she's only got pieces of it, and so she's taking these visions, putting them with the diary, and drawing conclusions that turn out to be the wrong conclusions.
Which is always wrong. And she gets Nikki involved, and Nikki believes the story and wants to help on this crusade.
Yes. So they do this seance kind of thing, what we called supernatural, because it looked very like the show Supernatural. And Nikki and Radhika and Sean, they're in the bathroom basically trying this seance. And long story short, she and Nikki are trying to figure out how they can get Gia to appear. And Gia appears.
Yes, she does.
But it's the real Gia. It's the real Gia.
Because
she's not dead.
Called her parents and said, I know how your daughter was murdered.
Yes.
And you need to get
and
to
of
the
course
police.
they're freaked out.
Yes, and so they
And she's
call
just
her.
basically like, I was trying to just get away.
Yes.
I just wanted to get away.
Yes. Thanks a lot, loser, for telling my parents I'm dead.
But now she gets back together with Manu.
And it was kind of freaky because all of a sudden she just barges in and there she is, like, oh,
they're
there's
like,
a spirit.
this is not her
That
spirit.
was clever,
this
very
is
clever.
her.
It's her. It's her.
And so, but Nikki still believes her that something's going on. And Sean's like, you're crazy. He calls her retard at one point.
Which is a good word.
But not if you love somebody.
Yes.
Clue, another clue. He doesn't really love her. He just
abusive.
wants to have sex.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what we then, because hunger is driving this movie review to an end here.
Okay.
What we come to see is in her visions start playing out.
And eventually what happens is she's allowing herself to be comforted by Sean, and as he starts to kiss her, it's triggering memories of the attempted rape.
Yes.
And she starts saying to him the things that she's thinking about the attacker, and kind of helping herself finally to get past what happened to her. And then she realizes, wait a second, you're trying to take advantage of me in a similar way to what this guy was doing. It looks different, but it really is similar. I've told you I don't want this, and yet you're foisting this upon me. And as she starts to push him away, she's realizing, oh no, these are the things I was seeing. When I knocked this thing over, when I threw this thing, when I fell down and hit myself this way.
The attack on me from Sean.
Yes. The finger that's cut off.
Mind blown.
The finger that's cut off is
my
mine.
finger.
The finger that's in the ice is mine. The woman who was bloodied because she'd gotten her head knocked on the tub is me. So she's trying to save her own life. At one point, she had thrown her phone and it dialed Nikki's number.
Yes.
And Nikki eventually shows up then and gets into the apartment because she's not buying Sean's story. And then she gets knocked out. And he's just like, for him,
it was literally an accident. It was
all of this is an accident on his part. It's almost,
but it looks really bad.
Yes, it's what we would call a comedy of errors, not in a funny way, but in an ironic way. He just keeps making it worse and worse and worse, and now there are two women that are like near death. Radhika gets out of the building. She finally conquers her phobia, gets out of the building, and then as helpful neighbors are coming to reach out to her, you see their hands reaching out. Her hand reaching out,
part of the finger,
and it's her painting
from the beginning.
That was at the beginning of the film, and that's where we see all of it tied together. Great movie. Two things that are wrong with this film. Does Sean go to prison? What happens to Sean? Did Nikki die? Nobody knows. He called the emergency services, but we don't know if they got there in time. So these are two major plot points that remain open-ended. They weren't wrapped up. That's a problem. I didn't like that part.
This is in our Bollywood
The rest
top
of the movie,
100.
phenomenal movie.
What do you think of Radhika Apte?
I thought she did a great job in this role. Like I said, I've only ever seen her. I saw her in Kabali, which you're seeing her in kind of flashback mode at that point. and you're not seeing a lot of her acting range, I think, in that film. I don't know that I've ever seen her in anything else other than that. Not that I can remember.
It reminded me of Castaway because we spent a lot of time with her just being agoraphobic alone.
Yeah, but there was a lot more dialogue in this than there was in Castaway.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would like to say I think she's a great actress. I don't know enough about that because I haven't seen her in enough things. What I can say is in this role, she knocked it out of the park. She did a great job convincing you she really had agoraphobia. So yeah, I thought it was great. I would like to give this an A+, but because of the two
You're ridiculous.
the two plot points that were not wrapped up,
You are ridiculous.
I can only give it an A-. And your grade?
A+.
Okay.
Easy.
Yes. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed our review. Even if you didn't like the film, maybe go back and watch it through our eyes and see what you think this time. Bye.